Cornered. Cornered. Try it again.
What is it that makes men great? What is it that motivates men and women to reach deep down inside and tap into that potential and then rise to stardom? It's been said that great men are not made, they are cornered. Often it's only when we find ourselves cornered with our back against the wall that we are motivated to reach deep down inside and tap into that potential that exists within each and every one of us. The first time I remember being cornered with my back against the wall was at the young age of 8. Now, at the age of 7, I loved the game of baseball, and my dream was to become a professional baseball player. But the truth of the matter was, I was a terrible batter. Now, how many of you have parented 7-year-olds? Okay, how many of you have actually been a 7-year-old? How many of you at the age of 7 had habits that you hope no one else would ever find out about later on in life? Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests, I had one of those habits. At the age of 7, I had an obsession with swinging at every single pitch that came across the plate. The ball be in the dirt, and I'd swing it. It'd be 3 feet overhead, and I'd swing it. Now, what you have to bear in mind is the fact that at the age of 7, most of us are just learning to throw the baseball. And it's everything we can do. We feel perfectly comfortable if we can just get the ball to go in a general direction. Forget about throwing it 60 feet down the line over a tiny little plate and a tiny little strike zone. And it wasn't long before my teammates realized that all they had to do was come up here and stand up here, and more often than not, the other pitcher was going to walk them. In the meantime, I'm swinging at every single pitch I can reach. I remember one game going into the final at-bats, we were behind by a run. And their pitcher came up and promptly struck out the first 2 batters on our team. And then he lost track of the strike zone. He walked the next 4 batters in a row. There we stood, 2 outs and a tie. And I was up next. Sensing there may be a problem here, my coach walked up to me and said, "Atkins, all we need is a walk and we're going to win this game. No matter what you do, I want you to wait until that pitcher throws 2 strikes before you swing that bat." I'm like, "Yes, sir." And I'm standing up the plate and I'm thinking to myself, don't swing, don't swing, don't swing. And the pitch came in, it's in the dirt, and I swung. I couldn't help myself. And I swung at the next 2 pitches as well, and we all went home in a tie. Now, you would think, after all this swinging, that sooner or later I would connect, right? And I did. My final at bat, I finally got enough of the ball to just chip it, and it dribbled back up to the pitcher, who threw me out at first base. Talk about a Charlie Brown whose kite would never fly. And things didn't get that much better the next season either. I did manage to get my uncontrollable urge to swing under control. But I was still a terrible batter. And I saw myself as a strikeout. And every time I walked up to the plate, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, "Brian, please don't strike out." And of course, those of you who know anything about our subconscious mind know that what was going into my subconscious mind was strike out. Well, I'll never forget that game. It was the game that was going to determine which of our teams went off to the playoffs. In our final at-bats, we were trailing by 1 run. And with 2 outs and a runner on second base, my coach made a rather shocking announcement. "Atkins, you are batting for Smith." And I'm thinking to myself, you can't put me in at a time like this. I'm the strikeout king. You know I can't hit. And I began to make my journey up to the plate. And my knees were shaking, my heart was palpitating, my hands were shaking. And I stood there at the plate and I was petrified. And the first pitch came in right down the pipe and I just watched it. And the umpire yelled, "Strike 1." And the next pitch came in right across the plate and I just watched it. And the umpire yelled, "Strike 2." I stepped out of the batter's box. I was in complete overwhelm. I had my back against the wall and I was cornered. See, it's one thing if I go up there and I strike out, and it really doesn't matter. And something altogether different when each and every boy on my team is praying that I get a hit to throw on their playoff dreams. And suddenly I thought, I am going to get a hit. And I stepped back in the batter's box and the pitch came in and I swung and I connected. And suddenly I was just shocked as the ball cleared the shortstop's head. And the audience yelled out, "Run, Brian!" And I ran to second. That hit scored the guy from second. And so there we stood, tie game, and I represented the winning run on first base. Yeah. Well, the next guy came up and he launched a shot down the right field line. And I put my head down and I ran as fast as my little 8-year-old legs would carry me. And as I approached second base, I looked down at the third base coach, and he's waving me on. I ran a second and headed to third. And as I reached third, he's waving me on, and I headed to home. And right before I hit home plate, the catcher caught the ball, and we collided. And we dropped faster than the Chinese stock market. When the catcher hit the ground, the ball bounced out of his glove and onto the ground, and the umpire yelled, "Safe!"
Yeah.
And now what happened next was terrifying because every kid in my dugout piled out on the field and on top of me. I was terrified. I couldn't understand why everybody was pissed off at me. And then it dawned on me. We were celebrating. We had won the game and we were on our way to the playoffs. Hallelujah. And what happened next was really interesting. Because suddenly I got hits in every single game. See, I no longer saw myself as the strikeout king. I suddenly saw myself as a force to be reckoned with. And as I was walking to the plate, I wasn't thinking, time, please don't strike out. I was thinking, I can't wait to get another hit. Ladies and gentlemen, so often it's only when we are cornered or back against the wall that we are motivated to reach deep down inside and tap into that potential that each and every one of us has. Madam Toastmaster.